Are shotguns more viable than the SMGs, or did the SMGs still reign supreme in Warzone? In this video, you're going to find out. Hello everybody, I am Shadows Rain, and where have I been? Well, I'll be addressing that at the end of the video in a talk to camera segment, but for now, let's get right into the discussion. So, the main reason I want to bring this up is because, it's no secret, I've been coming and going with Warzone lately, and every time I'm there, there's always something that's different, there's always something that's slightly new, and sometimes it's a weapon, sometimes it's a meta in particular, sometimes it's a style of play, but what I've noticed in the past particular few weeks is the odd shotgun user, and I've actually quite enjoyed this because I live for the shotguns. I am at my best when I'm using a shotgun. Everyone knows it in the A1A, long-time subscribers know I love wielding a shotgun, particularly anything that spits fire and destruction. But yeah, I just basically want to get into it because a lot of the time before then, we've been using a lot of submachine guns. Getting back into the sniper meta a little bit as well, I'm enjoying that, but at the moment, it's a discussion of shotguns versus SMGs and what you should be using if you're going to be using a short-range class. Now, this is on the assumption that you're using both of these with an assault rifle, something like an AK, something like a Krieg, something that can basically cover like your longer ranges. And yeah, so how I feel about this particular class at the minute is that SMGs are very versatile at the moment. The game developers have been bringing them out on tap as a new SMG every damn time I'm going on the game. And yeah, it's been a fun time lately. There's a lot of variation, or was a lot of variation in the SMG meta. We had the 10mm MP5 for a bit. We had the Cold War MP5, which is still actually quite strong. 7.4U was a good pick too. And then obviously you've got the likes of the high mags SMGs, such as the Mac 10, which though has a really good time to kill, isn't the fastest, but really reliable. And then you've got the likes of MP7, which is really viable as well. Really good to use that on a sniper class actually, if you're using a Car 98, because I can actually do some short range and do bits at mid range as well. And actually the Uzi's been quite decent for me lately too. But yeah, so what do these guns offer and why would you pick them over a shotgun? The main thing is the consistency of damage. You know when you're putting shots into somebody, you know exactly what damage numbers you're doing most of the time. It's not based on how many pellets hit, and you know if you hit someone, say like 4 or 5 times in the head, more often than not, they're cracked, if not dead, depending on some SMGs. And if you're hitting the body, you know you can jump around, you can spray a little bit, you can hip fire, you can move super quickly. You don't really have to worry about the distance to your opponent too much, as long as it's within like your 15 meters, and you've got a tight enough hip fire spread. Most of your shots should be hitting anyway. And of course, you can take out multiple teams with them as well. So if you're using a Mac 10 or a Bullfrog, you can be taking out at least 2 or 3 people and fulling them in one mag. You can be then taking out full teams with a mag if you're like using a throwing knife and things like that. So it does have a lot of effectiveness. Now, my main problem with the SMG meta lately is that when something is actually good and people start gravitating towards it a bit, that gets nerfed. Even if it's an unjustified nerf. A perfect example of this would be the Modern Warfare MP5 10mm. That was a really strong weapon. It was a really good weapon. However, it had obvious limitations. It had a bit more recoil. It was a bit heavier. It wasn't the fastest SMG in the world. It didn't have the tightest hip fire in the world. And all things considered, that 30-round mag was blown really quickly. So you could only really do 1 or 2 people at best, much like a SOCOM, but a less extreme version of it, obviously. So yeah, I felt as if the risk to reward was really good on that MP5 because, if you missed your shots, you were dead. However, if you were able to connect them, you were rewarded. However, it was only 1 person at a time. Very rare could you do 2 people at once with that gun. It had to be said. And that got nerfed because it was too strong. Well, guess what? There's already guns in the SMG tier which were already similar in strength, like the MP7. Most shotguns would kill quicker than that as well. You're on about bridging the gap between shotguns and SMGs. That gun bridged the gap. That gun bridged the gap perfectly. And yet, you're saying that we want to bridge the gap between SMGs and shotguns so both are viable in our meta. That gun was the bridge, and you went and cocked it up. Much like everything you touch, Raven Software, but hey-ho. The next thing that you want to be discussing with SMGs, really, is their dependability. As you mentioned with consistency before, you know what damage you're doing. But it's always good when you have that SMG in your pocket. Typically, if you're running a good SMG, you're fast, you're mobile, you can hip fire. If you aim down sight, you are going to be rewarded with a little bit more, obviously a little bit more accuracy and quicker kills. But it's good. It's really enjoyable. But then what do you get with the shotguns? So with the shotguns, you get outright lethality. Now, the Gallo was a good example of this. This was a really good shotgun. Had a wideish hipfire cone, but actually did connect really well. You've also got the likes of the R9 Dragon's Breath. My God, that's a good gun. I really enjoyed this weapon because, well, you know, this is also a risk-reward weapon. If you can hit someone with 2 shots, you aim down sight and you get them in the chest, they're down. Straight up, they're down. Only thing is, if you need a 3rd or 4th shot, or heaven forbid a 5th, 6th shot, you are at a big disadvantage when people are starting to use their SMGs against you. It's you know, it's shit a bust with that gun. It really is. And I feel as if with that gun that you need to be on it. You need to expect the confrontation. Can't speak today. But yeah, the main thing. This is like a shotgun thing in general, though. So with the shotguns, you have to pick and choose your fights with it. You are forced to take a short and medium range fight with your AR if you're not in your shotgun range. You have to kit up for your shotgun. You have to know when you want to use it, what fights you want to use it in, and pretty much your playstyle around it. So if you're going to be right in their faces, the distance between you and what I am to this mic now, which is only a couple of inches, you want to have the biggest hipfire cone as you can and literally blow them to kingdom come. You'll also get rewarded with a bit more movement speed doing it this way, but if you try to aim down sight and pick someone off at about 8 meters, it's not happening. And the opposite is true for the tighter hipfire spread shotguns, because really, I know you get a super tight hip cone shotgun pellet spread once you aim down sight with the shotguns. If you didn't already know, when you aim down sight, it is randomized. So usually it's 8 pellets in most cases. So if you hipfire, you know, some of those pellets are going to miss, which is why if you use the hipfire cone to tighten them up, you're putting yourself a laser on there. You're putting anything that tightens it up, like I can't think of like a choke, marauder suppressors, stuff like that. That's going to make it a much tighter spread, which technically means more damage. However, when you're up in their face, it's going to be a little bit harder to hit, because obviously you don't have that massive cone to make sure you definitely hit. But you know, if you can control that engagement, you're going to be doing that with that gun. But between 5 and 10 meters is the best case scenario for those particular guns. So yeah, you got to know how you want to take a shotgun fight with that, whereas you don't need to do that with an SMG, and I think that's why you can kind of be rewarded for using a shotgun up close. Well, you should be rewarded for using a shotgun up close. Now, I know I've bitched about shotguns in the past, but that's only because they're ground loot. They should not be ground loot. Absolutely should not be. And the reason of this is that if you want the benefits of using a shotgun, you've got to take the risk of having a shotgun. You've got to pick the risk. You can't just sit there and have a comfortable little SMG, pick up a shotgun off the ground, do someone in your build, and then pick up your SMG again. No, you need to be able to, you need to get rewarded for picking up that shotgun in your loadout. And if you have that, it's risk reward. Fair enough, you deserved it. Now, a lot of people don't like the shotgun spam, and I do agree there is spam in it. However, like I say, you do get rewarded for it, and shotguns do have a big disadvantage. Stuns are a big one. If you can hit someone with a stun with a shotgun, or if you get the drop on them, they're dead. Like straight up, if you've got a snapshot grenade, stun grenade, whatever, you know, hit them with it and it'll do damage. Even a flash grenade, like, they're going to be based on hipfire, and if they're using a tighter hipfire cone, which to be honest most of them are, yeah, absolutely, you can counter it easily. However, here's the one thing with the shotguns as well. If they are using a tight hipfire build, if they're using a build which has the maximum range, they are going to be slower than AR guys. Straight up, they will be very slow and easy to hit, so you don't need to worry about them. Even if they are like hip-firing you, they're still going to be moving really slow with hipfire. They have nowhere near the mobility of SMGs when it comes to their mobility, and it's going to cost them in the long run too. So again, this is one of the risks that you take in using a shotgun, but you do get that outright lethality. Now, the main shotguns I am using at the moment are as follows. I'll give you my 3 main builds. Wait, not necessarily builds, but shotguns, because I do build them different ways. I will be doing a bit more of an in-depth look at shotguns in the future, but for now, I'm just going to break down the guns I'm using. So I'm going to be using an R9 Dragon's Breath, as mentioned before. Really enjoy this gun, really good. It just feels satisfying to kill people with. Now, yes, it is one of the higher risk ones, because if you do miss one of your shots, your time to kill goes flying up. However, people get scared when they see this. Whenever you use a shotgun which has a fire effect on it, people shite themselves when they see it. People panic when they see the Dragon's Breath. Even if you just clip them once, they panic, which is, absolutely incredible. EOD doesn't really block that much of the damage. It only blocks the fire effect, and even then it's still adding a fire effect, so you're still at a net gain for using your Dragon's Breath. And it's really, really good. Another gun that I like to use as well at the minute was the Gallo. Obviously, that's been nerfed a little bit, so not using that as much, but you could be quite fast with that and still do a lot of damage. Wide hip fire cone though, but it still did loads of damage and it was spammable. Only thing is, like the R9, it takes an eternity to reload, an absolute age, which is another big risk associated with these weapons. Next one I like is the Origin. I really do dig the Origin. It's one of my favorites. It really is, because it's that nice little, it's like my middle ground of, you get a little bit mobility with it, not much. You get a decent hip fire spread with it. Again, not the tightest, but you got a semi-automatic shotgun there. You don't need to worry about like pump action like the Gallo, so that's brilliant. But it just gives you a little bit more freedom. And if you rock that with the 12 round mag instead of the 25, mobility is actually quite decent. You don't need 25 bullets, really you don't. And it reloads quite quick too, because it's drum fed. So I do find that it's a nice little medium ground. And if you are in range of people, you can spam them and they will die quite quickly. And then fully auto, I've always went for the Jack 12. The AA-12, whatever you want to call it. I've always enjoyed that particular shotgun. It's spammable, it's good, it's powerful. You can put Dragon's Breath rounds on there too. It's a really good shotgun. This is a high risk, high reward shotgun, much like the R9. If you hit your target, brilliant. If not, you are in a bit of trouble. Don't really want to be using the big drum on this one, purely because you are going to be as slow as LMGs in some cases. Not ideal. So keep it to drum fed if you can. So keep it to normal mag fed if you can with that. But you're going to be enjoying some devastating power with that shotgun, especially on Dragon's Breath. And then the final shotgun that I like to use on this is going to be the VLK Rogue. But this needs to be built up. If you don't have a fully built up VLK Rogue, you're in trouble here, because it needs attachments, much like the Car 98 does, much like the SA7 if you've been following the channel, much like the EBR. You need a specific class to make this work. You need the longest barrel kits, you need the Dragon's Breath on there, long barrels, all that stuff. And this is a good middle ground between the R9 and the Origin. I think it actually kills a bit quicker than the Origin in some cases. If you can land 2-3 clean shots with this gun, people are dropping. I've actually fully downed someone with just 2 shots in the hips. So yeah, VLK Rogue's a really good one. But I'm going to be featuring shotguns more a little bit on the channel. I do really enjoy them, but I'm also going to be featuring a bit more sniper on the channel too. I've been sniping a lot on Apex Legends a lot lately, and I just get a lot of satisfaction from using my snipers, so I think I'm going to be using them a bit more as well. But yeah, guys, in terms of this portion of the video, that's that. So now I suppose I best get myself on camera and explain where the hell I've been for the past 2 and a bit weeks. So yes, thank you for watching until the end. So to answer your question, where have I been? Well, to be quite honest, I've just been looking after myself a little bit. I was kind of going through a little bit of a hard phase, don't get me wrong, not like anything like depression or anxiety or anything like that. But I felt as if there was a lot going on in my life at the moment. We lost a friend as well, which is not fun. And we had other bits and bits going on as well regarding like work and other life things going on. So I was at a point where I felt as if like I was mentally fatigued, mentally drained, and just lacking the energy that I need for, putting everything into a YouTube project. One thing I said many months ago is that I don't want to make shit videos, and I don't want to be making videos that I'm not passionate about. And during that time, I had no passion or any energy, like good energy to make videos with. Like if I made videos then, they would have been all rant, they'd have been all ramblings, and they would have been quite, you would have felt as if you were missing out. And that you deserve better than that as a viewer to this channel. And yeah, so I thought it was a good idea to kind of just sit back and just kind of get myself together a little bit. Like I said, I wasn't in any like state of mental health, like negative. Like I was just in a place where I was starting to feel a bit drained and a bit fatigued, and it wasn't good. One thing I have always been quite good at in life, and those who know me can probably attest to this, is I've always been able to identify when I'm on a bad path. As in like mentally, like obviously in the place I was at, I felt as if I'd stayed in that state of mind for like, if I was like in that state of mind over a long sustained period of time, it would have led to anxiety or depression. It would have led to me maybe not being, like the person that I want to be and all that stuff. So I'm quite good at identifying that and just cut everything out, because it was getting to a point where everything was feeling like a chore. Like, keeping up with my family, keeping up with other bits and pieces and other social like obligations I have. It was all feeling like a chore. YouTube was feeling like a chore, which none of these things are a chore. I love doing everything that I do. I love doing the YouTube. I love going out and visiting people. I love going out and obviously spending time with the family and girlfriend and all that stuff. I love all of that, but it was all beginning to feel like a chore, and it really bogged down on me. So I've kind of just like took a step back, refresh myself, and here I am. So that's all good. So I hope to be making more videos. I'm going to be making more videos, and I've actually started production of what we're going to be calling the Ultra series, which is going to be like a stupidly high production process series. No better topic to start off on mental health. So we'll do the first one on that. I'm not really going to go into too much detail at the moment, but it's going to be very good. I'm really excited about it, and I'm probably only going to be able to do one of these a month, because they are going to be quite expensive to make, because it's going to need stock footage, and that's quite pricey. So yeah, but no guys, I am absolutely fine, and I'm going to be coming back and just absolutely having a whale of a time. And I thought, to be honest, now is a good time to have a little like week or two break, because obviously, we're in a little bit of a lull at the moment, not the channel, but like the community in general, a little bit of a lull, just waiting for Vanguard and Battlefield to come out and see what the crack is with that. So I felt as if it was a good time just to kind of, sit back. It's not like at the start of a season or at the start of like a new game launch or anything like that. So it was a good time, but yeah, I'm back now, whether you like it or not. We'll be back on the usual upload schedule from this point on. So Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, or Sunday. Tuesday, Thursday, or a weekend. And a weekend. So we'll be doing that. We'll be pumping out some more streams for you guys now as well, especially now that I've got the new graphics card sorted out. So yeah, guys, I'm really enjoying just making that video there when I was doing the voiceover bit for the SMGs and shotguns. It felt good to be back, and maybe I have had a little bit of anxiety to come back. Once you get to like 2 weeks in, like, oh my god, I've got to actually get around to do it. And there was a point where on Sundays I was banging out 3-4 videos for the week. Apologies about that. My computer decided to know about, overclock the RAM, and it's not liking it at all, so that'll be getting undone. So yeah, I was in the habit of doing videos, like, obviously, and I had a little workflow going, and I kind of lost that little spell with it, but yeah. But no guys, that's where I've been. I'm fine. So yeah, thanks for watching the video. If you did enjoy it, make sure you hit that like button below and subscribe, and that'd be really great. And we're gonna start just absolutely slapping things from here. So yeah, let's get ready for the next gen of content. Peace.